In Las Vegas, and I'm joined again by Hank Goldberg out of Florida. Hank, we saw some very interesting college basketball games last night, and we have 4 more going on tonight. We already have 2 set up for Saturday, and then, of course, we'll have Sunday games as well. These teams tonight will meet, the winners will meet on Sunday. Some very interesting games, coaching decisions, things like that. Kentucky made a lot more foul shots than Kansas State, but the one player hitting 8 out of 20 from the free throw line made a big difference in who.
You know, he had a real dilemma because Washington just couldn't make a free throw, and he was obviously psyched, and he killed him down the stretch. On the other hand, he was making tremendous defensive plays that was keeping him in the game. And he also was, very good on the boards. And, they kept fouling him, and he kept missing free throws. If he makes, just a few more free throws, they win the game. But he was, and he couldn't take him out of the game because he used him too much on the defensive end. So it was a real dilemma for Coach Cal. But, something, Kansas State's a very good defensive team. And I think they can go further. I'll tell you the other game. I had a bad night last night. My only winner was Florida State. I like Florida State. I know Coach Ham. He's very good. He's got a 10-man rotation, and they're long and they can defend, and they can get to the basket with a bunch of different people. And I think they're a threat to keep going. But the other game, I thought Nevada was very poorly coached. How many times were they going to allow Jackson to go unmolested to the basket and shoot layups? They had an inordinate amount of uncontested layups. Nevada had a big man. Where was he? They kept staying with their man defense, and their big man kept getting picked. And the coach never adjusted for it. And so late in the game, when they finally put him inside and had him defending the rim. But, they had one advantage with their one big man to defend the rim, and they kept allowing Jackson to make layups. So it was ridiculous. And the other mistake that Nevada's coach made was at the end of the game, where they allowed the clock to go down to 6.3 seconds when they were 1 point behind instead of fouling. They should have fouled. And instead, they allowed the 3-point basket, which put them out of the game. Because, remember, Nevada made the 3. Had they fouled, they would have been in overtime, and I think they would have won in overtime. Because he had made the adjustment against Jackson finally when it was too late. It was a very poorly coached game by Nevada, which had the better team.
Yeah, Loyola has won 3 games now by a total of 4 points. They're walking on thin ice all the time, but they've been able to manage that for one reason or another. Michigan came back off of their poor shooting night the previous game, and they blasted Texas A&M.
Yeah, Texas A&M couldn't score, couldn't keep up with them. They were out of it early. And, Texas A&M is not a good come-from-behind team. But the thing was that Michigan was just on fire. I turned the game off because, it was just Michigan hitting threes one after another. And, it took Texas A&M right out of their game.
Yeah, they hit 14 threes out of 24 attempts, which is a remarkable percentage. It's unbelievable. And then, of course, Gonzaga, another number 1, goes down. And they did not look impressive in that game.
Gonzaga was outplayed by Florida State, plain and simple. Florida State can defend. They're long. They've got those 6'9" guys. And remember, Gonzaga had their best scorer out, and that was the difference in that game. Gonzaga might have done better had had their number one scorer been able to play, but he missed the game. And when you have less than excellent teams missing one player, it makes a difference, and that's what's happened. You have a bunch of slightly better than average teams at this point in the season, for the most part, going at it, and one injury kills them, and that's what happened to Gonzaga. And that's why I played Florida State in the game, where I had my one winner. I thought Gonzaga would miss their high-scoring player. They went pretty far without him. So, but Florida State, they have depth. They don't get tired. Hamilton has done a great job of how he's maneuvered his lineup so that they don't get tired, and they don't get tired, and they're strong as the game goes on. And every time it looked like Gonzaga was going to make a run, Florida State came back on them, and they did everything against them. They drove to the basket. They killed them on the boards, and this is where Florida State is strong. I really like them going forward.
Well, they play like you said, 8 to 10 deep, which is a big advantage from a fatigue standpoint, and so they're always fresh, and they can play many games in a week without running out of gas. That is a big plus. Tonight, Hank, we got 4 big games in the NCAA. You got West Virginia at Villanova. Villanova's a 5-point favorite in that game. Texas Tech at Purdue. Purdue is 2. And actually there's some 2.5 showing up now in that game. And they're still missing their big guy, Haas. But they have another big guy, but he's not as good offensively, but he's pretty good defensively. Then you got Duke and Syracuse, and Duke is an 11-point favorite in that game. And that's zone against zone. That's very unusual this day and age when you have 2 zone teams playing each other. Clemson in Kansas, and Kansas is 5 in that spot. So you got 4 really good games tonight, and 1 double-digit point spread, but the rest of them are 2 to 5 points. So it's close. 3 close matchups according to the point spreads.
Well, I think Clemson is going as far as they can go right now, and I think Kansas is playing pretty well. Himself has got them where they are playing at their best. Of course, the way this thing is going, like I said, you've got not a lot of great teams. It's not a great team by Kansas, but I think they've got Kansas isn't very deep, but they've got guys who can play, obviously. And Clemson, I don't know. They played a good game last time. I don't know if they're capable of going back to back. And the other game, the Duke game is going to be interesting. I love the under in the game. The first team to 70 is probably going to win it, and that should be Duke.
Well, I'm not sure anybody gets to 70, but they're going to try to keep this thing within range. Syracuse is not a deep team, and they can't. If they can control the tempo, they'll do it. Not guaranteed that they can do it, but they're going to try. That's the West Virginia game. Villanova, you got Villanova plays all those guards. They're a pretty tough team to press, and West Virginia, that's what they do. They call them Press Virginia, and that's an interesting matchup. You got the number 1 team in Villanova. Everybody's odds-on favorite to win it now, and West Virginia. If you break the press against West Virginia, you have a lot of open shots. West Virginia doesn't guard the 3 very well because there's a lot of open space when you're trying to cover the whole floor like they do. Interesting matchup. Purdue without their second 7-footer, Haas, and that's a big loss. And Texas Tech can hit the boards, and Purdue hasn't been a great rebounding team, so Texas Tech might have an advantage on the boards. Syracuse Duke we talked about. Clemson comes in looking really good off of the beating New Mexico State and Auburn. But the question I have there is New Mexico State, which is a really I don't know if you even call them a mid-major, and then Auburn, who closed out the season with injuries and into a bit of a slump, and they kind of quit. I think at the 10-minute mark of that game, they just stopped playing. I mean, they were just blown out from top to bottom. I think Clemson looked a lot better than you shouldn't be giving them that much credit because that score was so lopsided. But Kansas is tough, and they play some very quick guards, and they have a lot of guys that can shoot. And it goes down to clutch time and needing a shot. They got 4 or 5 guys that can hit a shot, so they got that go-to guy. It's interesting games tonight, and of course going forward we have other tournaments going on as well. The matchups in Madison Square Garden for next week are already set, and the lines have been up for a while. So it's a great weekend, and the NBA is winding down. There's some key games. The Utah-San Antonio game's a key game. I don't know what's going on with Kawhi Leonard. That whole thing down there is a little bit of a mess and a mystery. But there's some. We're getting down to playoff time in the NBA. We only have about 8 or 9 games left till we get to the playoffs, and that will be very interesting. Great time of year to be in this business, to be sports handicappers and bettors.
Well, Golden State's starting to get healthy. I think their top scorer is going to be back tonight. That'll be interesting to see how he does, if he can stay healthy or not. And I'll tell you who's playing pretty well without two of their key guys is the Miami Heat. They can score, and they've been racking up points. But I'll tell you, it's hard to project. And Houston last night did not play all that well because they missed their guard. He didn't play. You got to take a look at who's playing and who's not at this time of the year. As it gets late in the season, you got to watch that injury list in the NBA. But I'll tell you, there's some interesting baseball starts in a week, and everybody is touting Houston in baseball, saying that they're the top team in the American League, that the Yankees may be short one starting pitcher, but they have a great bullpen, and they're going to be fun to watch with all that power. I don't know. I'll have to watch baseball a little while before I get involved with that. And the Masters, watch the lefties in the Masters. But I'll tell you, they got I love the tournament that's going on now with the match play as they go at each other again today. Mickelson came back yesterday, and he said that he hasn't been all that focused, and he went against a Japanese player who had him 4 up, and Mickelson came back on the back 9, and that was fun to watch. And but something, you got some guys in there. I think I would take 5 guys against Tiger 1-on-1 going into the Masters. I'll do that with you if you want.
You got it. Let's do it. That'll be a fun bet. We'll have to set that up. Definitely. What 5 guys do you want?
I like I'll take Mickelson. I'll take Spieth. Who's the other lefty? The little guy. He's playing great right now. The lefty. I'll take him. I'll let you know who the other 2 guys are. I don't know where I wrote it down, but I've got it. I'm not at home, but I'll call you. We'll do that on Monday. We got time.
Oh, we got a lot of time for that.
I'm definitely going to take Mickelson. He's playing great. he's really sharp. His game is very sharp right now. He's putting extremely well. I like Spieth. I think he's on his game right now. And I think who's the lefty, the slightly built guy who's playing great right now?
I can't, it's just not coming to me. But we'll do that, like you said, we'll do it on Monday. You can write it down, we'll do it on Monday.
Yeah, I'll be ready for you. That's what's called a tease.
I got you, yeah, now I have to worry about it. Okay. Well, thank you, Hank. All of our plays are up at jimfeist.com, so we've been doing real well. I was 1-1 last night. I am now 25-3 in my last 28 games, which isn't too bad. And
I stunk last night.
you had an unusual bad night. You don't usually do that, but
I'm really ticked off at Nevada. I could have had a better night if Nevada had come through, and I thought they should have gotten at least into overtime. How do you let the clock go down to 6.3 seconds and not foul when you're 1 point behind and let that guy shoot the three? That was terrible.
yeah, it wasn't a good move. But we've seen a couple bad moves, and we've seen some good moves too. But that was a bad one. Anyway, thank you, Hank. We'll talk to you again on Monday.
I think the nun put a curse on the Nevada coach.
Sister Jean has been doing her job. Thank you.
Okay, have a good week. Have a good weekend. There's the Louisiana Derby is tomorrow. Otherwise, there's not much going on in horse racing. Next week is the Florida Derby, and that should be a good weekend.
All right, Hank. Thank you.
Thank you.